Hello and welcome to Music is the Drug, the Cowboy Junkies podcast. I'm Dave Bowler and I wrote the band's biography, Music is the Drug. Alan Anton is having a well-deserved week off, so today it's just Michael Timmins who's being drilled on a song from All That Reckoning. As we'll come to later in the conversation, Missing Children is an angry song that, in part, is about our ability to look the other way in the face of all manner of horrors, something that's been all too true in recent weeks. But we started off by talking about the musical structure of the song and the way in which it's become a live favourite over the last few years.
Yeah, this one, Missing Children, again, it's become it's still in our repertoire, and I think it'll be in our repertoire forever. We don't necessarily play it every night, but it'll always be in that live repertoire because it's based around it's based around our favorite groove. You can hear that one from Murder Tonight in the Trailer Park to Just Want to See and there's we play this groove a lot. It's just, for me, it's my favorite guitar rhythm groove. I think it's kind of really chunky, and when we get it, it's great. Like when Alan, Pete, and I lock into it, it's really good. It really feels good, and Margo can sit on top of it and kind of go wherever she wants. So when it's happening, it's great. When it's not happening, it's not great. It's kind of sluggish. But and I feel on the record, we didn't quite get it. This is the type of song that I feel that we want to play live more before we record, and we never got a chance to play this one live. I wish we had. Other people might not hear that, but I sort of hear it now when we play it live. I think, man, I wish we could record this now, or had the opportunity, because it's just one of those feels that you just gotta grab, you just gotta understand and grab. And lyrically, it's a very angry song. It's funny. It's based on a poem I wrote. It's based on two poems: a poem I wrote many years ago, and a poem that William Blake wrote many, many, many years ago. And so it comes from a little 6-line poem. I think the first 4 lines of the song, this sort of that repeating line is from the original poem, and then of course all the chorus and bridge lines are from William Blake. And I'd had this poem forever, and I'd always liked it, and I was I would often go back and refer to it, never be able to figure out how to use it when I was in a writing mode. And then when I was writing All That Reckoning, the lyrics for All That Reckoning, I really was really getting into William Blake and used sort of him as a reference, or a lot of his work as a reference, that sort of innocence experience side of his writing. And it seemed to click perfectly with this, with what I had written, and put it together. Sort of all of a sudden, a song was there. So it was a very easy song to write, because most of the images and most of the bones of the song were already written by me many years earlier, and by William Blake hundreds of years earlier.
It's ancient and modern, I guess, which it would be.
Yes, exactly. And then that's the brilliance of when a writer who's written, I don't know, 200 years ago, maybe more at this point, you can bring his words forward or her words forward. It's quite phenomenal, right? And they actually still make sense, and they still pack a punch. It's kind of mind-boggling, So. And in this context too, in the context of a rock song, that that wasn't, even though I think a lot of Blake's poems were sung, I don't think they were sung to a distorted guitar. So they work really well.
Everybody's really on great form on this song, I think. I mean, that bass from Al sets it up straight away. I mean, it's very foreboding and a worrying kind of thing right from the start.
Yeah, it's a great bass part. This type of song to me is Al's. That's where Al's at his strongest, where it's just really heavy, and just sort of, he just sits on a groove. He finds a really cool groove, and simple, but not really. You sort of hear it thinking it's simple, and then you try and figure out the line, and it's like, well, it's not really that simple. It's kind of, as far as the rhythmic goes and the melody he's producing, and it just sort of, and what I'm doing is very simple as far as the rhythm goes, and what Pete and I are doing are pretty simple, but I'll sort of gives it this kind of movement and this groove, and it's just one of my favorite ways to play with this band.
Margo's vocal as well. I mean, it's one of those ones. I guess the way we were talking about Hunted in the previous podcast, the difference between singing when you're in your mid-20s, late 20s, and singing later on with the benefit of experience, and the way she sort of spits this one out is fantastic. I think.
And one shoulder and one arm could twist the sinews of thy heart. And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hands and what dread feet, what the hammer, what the chain, in what folds was that brain, what the amber, what dread grasp, dare its deadly terror grasp.
And again, it just improves with more playing it live more and more. You know, Margo, I think I've said in the past, you know, gets better. She takes a long time to get into a lyric or a song, yeah, and the more we can play it live before we record it, the better. And you know, sometimes it's years, and it just continues to get better and better and better and better. And this is one of those songs, I think, for her that like Hunted, like we talked about in the Hunted podcast, you know, she just gets better and better every time she sings it live.
The lyric, I mean, is also sort of about media and our reaction to it, and you know, you can be confronted by the horrors and then just switch out. I mean, we're recording this while there's a war going on in Ukraine, and for 2 days, all people have talked about is Will Smith hitting Chris Rock.
Yeah, yes, exactly, the big scandal. Yeah, you know, that's. You know, I bet it was probably the same way in Blake's time. You know, that the comfort there'd be the Black Plague would be happening outside the doors of the pub, but they'd be talking about the scandal between the wife of the wife of the harness maker and the husband of the barkeep. You know, the husband of the bartender. So I don't know. It's probably this always being the same. We tend to want distraction, and you know, who can blame us? We cause ourselves so much pain and so much worry between us all that every now and then I think we just need to sort of back away from it all and pretend it's not happening, because it's too hard to look at square in the face.
We'll be looking at another song square in the face next week, but that's all we've got for today's episode. Cowboy Junkies' new album, Songs of the Recollection, featuring covers of songs by Bowie, The Cure, Big Chestnut, Gordon Lightfoot and more, is available from all the usual outlets or direct from the band at cowboyjunkies.com. You can also get a copy of the book Music is the Drug from there too. The Junkies are back on the road with new tour dates coming in all the time, in North America, all over Europe and in Australia and New Zealand too. Keep checking the website for news of those shows. If you're a Spotify user, you can follow our growing podcast playlist, and all the details of that and everything else is in the show notes. We'll see you next time.
We only see them briefly, then reach to change the station. They're frozen, perfect faces.